When I was like 7 or 8, I watched a lot of Family Guy, and if I was making this up, I would have picked something less gay. I started to notice that I was predicting the episode that was going to air before it did. I would think of the cutaway gags often throughout the day, and I cringed thinking about it. When this happened, I would stop and think if anything prompted the thought. If not, I would make a mental note, and if this happened twice in a day, I would try to remember the stories that the gags were used in. Invariably, it would be the A and B plots to the same episode, and that would be the episode that aired that night. I told my mom about this, and she said, "Yeah, I always knew you were kind of psychic." I told my dad, and he thought Family Guy was taking over my brain, and I thought of all of the gags every day, and that it's just confirmation bias. I tried explaining my method to him, and he didn't want to hear it. I guess my parents being dismissive of it made me forget about it for years. I was 16, and I had just gotten disillusioned with quote-unquote spirit science, and it had made me bitter about all things supernatural, and I had become extremely secular. My living situation here was the worst in my life. I don't know if this had anything to do with the experience or not, but I might as well mention. I was living alone with my dad, but we would rarely speak to each other. Sometimes, he would be gone for days at a time, and I had no way, or desire, to contact him. No job, car, phone, internet, money, or educational background. No hope for the future. Nothing. I had one friend in the neighborhood, but I was usually too embarrassed to want to talk to her. This carried on for a year and a half, and I ended up getting a mild speech impediment from talking so infrequently. Anyway, during all of this, I wake up one morning, got out of bed, and I immediately start playing Skyrim. While playing, the lights go out, and the only sources of light are my laptop screen, and the light from the hallway coming through the gap of my door. I didn't have a door frame. My dad calls out from the other room. "Did the lights go out in your room too?" I went to the fuse box to reset the breaker, but all the switches were labeled in shitty cursive, and I've never been able to read them. Then, I noticed the labels were changing every time I looked away. Dead giveaway that I was dreaming, so I wake up. And that night, the same thing happened, with 3 differences. I called out to my dad and said the same thing that he said in the dream. His lights never went out because our rooms were on different breakers. The room was dark in real life because it was nighttime. The dream didn't make any sense because the sun would have still been out. The labels were still unreadable, but in real life, only one breaker was in the tripped position, so it wasn't hard to figure out which one was to my room. This opened me back up to the metaphysical, only now, I'm more skeptical of people just making shit up. Be me, middle school, sometime around 2012 to 2013. Me and my friend group get interested in the paranormal and decide to go ghost hunting. We go to each of our houses one at a time to see if we can catch anything. We check out mine. Nothing. We check out my buddy's. Nothing. There are 4 of us. We go to my other buddy's house. He had just gotten a thermal camera. His family was loaded. His family was away on vacation for the weekend, including his little brother. So it was only us in the house, on a rural property. Search around for a while on the main floor. Nothing. Search on the upper floors. We get weird thermal orbs in one of the bedrooms, and we proceed into the attic. We decide to conduct an EVP session with a voice recorder. After boosting the audio, we think we can catch some kind of muttered whispering in the background, but it's nothing extraordinary. Friend claims that the basement is where he feels unsafe, especially near the workout room. We go down there, and it starts to get a little cold, but we brush it off. We walk toward, and then go into the workout room. We had the stairwell lights on, but all other lights in the basement were off. It was very dim, but even without your flashlight, you could see the end of the workout room. It was like a solid 40 feet away, and out of nowhere, all electronic equipment fails. Like dominoes, all within 30 seconds of each other. Cell phones, flashlights, voice recorders, laptop, and even the thermal camera. Everything being dead. One friend says we've all been investigating for a while, And now that our equipment's dead, perhaps we should just call it a day. Another remarks that it was kinda strange how all of the equipment died all at once. Another friend agrees. I then propose that we should ask for physical signs, if there is something here with us. I say, whoever is with us, if you were in the attic with us before, can you knock on the opposite wall from us 3 times? Knock, knock, knock. Quite a firm knock. Not quite a police knock, but not friendly either. Me and all my buddies jump in shock and horror, and a couple let out screams, and another whimpers. I'm shaking, but I try to maintain some semblance of calmness and control. Whoa, guys, relax. It could have been some kind of infrastructure issue or a pipe or something. It could have been a coincidence. After a few brief moments, I then ask, if that was you who just knocked 3 times on the wall, could you knock 5 more times for me? Knock, 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 knock. It was a bit more aggressive this time. We all scream and run out of the house in pure terror. We sit outside on the rock wall facing his house, completely silent except for our panting. Most of us are too afraid to go inside to get our stuff. Eventually we do, and we all go to our respective homes. I'll never forget, and I still have no clue what the fuck happened. That face one keep having slightly spoopy incidents. Nothing remotely scary, just random happenings. I already talk aloud to myself quite frequently. Sometimes, I feel like I can hear a reply at times. Just act retarded as usual. Hope the maybe ghosts find it funny. Can feel random drafts across the top of my head, as if the wind has a hand and it's patting my head. Okay, lol. Half the time, I see white wispy things out of the corner of my eyes. They don't go away, even when I clean my eyes. Sometimes I blink, and they're all I can see for half an instant. Okay, funny ghost, you do you. On some nights, I randomly get loud high-pitched noises in my left ear, and leaves it ringing for like half a fucking hour, as if someone came up to me with a megaphone and screeched directly into my ear. Well, fuck you too. And more recently, Cat died not that long ago. Not even a week passes, and I can feel something sitting on me when I'm in bed. Where he died was on my bed, as I tried to let him be comfortable as he was going, and he did love to sleep on it. Check each time with a light, but nothing's on me. Can still feel the weight when checking. This goes on for a few more months, until I feel it get lifted off of me, as if someone else is picking them up. The feeling of this is permanently etched into my brain, since my cat loved to sit on me so much that I would need help since I didn't want to be mean to him. I swear, he's the one that's still randomly opening the doors in my house. Even when there's 0 chance it should be able to happen, I still miss the bastard. I got a memory that suddenly came to my mind as I was reading this thread. I now feel scared by remembering it. Be me, 7 years old or so, in the kitchen with my mom. We're eating dinner on the table. The kitchen table is next to a big window. Window pretty much covers the entire wall. You can just open it and walk out to the front garden. Front garden is big. Since it was night, shit was dark as fuck outside. I'm sitting close to that window, but I'm not facing at it. My mom is facing the window. As we eat, she makes a sudden expression. Her eyes open wide, looking at the window. She looks terrified. She keeps her eyes wide open, with a notable concern on her face. Legit, one of the most scared faces I've ever seen to this day. I start panicking as I see her. She never stops looking at the window. As basic instinct, I never turn to see what the fuck is happening outside. I lock my eyes on her as I panic some more. "What is it, Mom?" I ask. "There's," she says. Then, suddenly, she swaps to a relaxed, yet nervous face and starts laughing. "I'm just kidding, Anon. There's nothing. Now, finish your dinner." Bitch. I finish my dinner and we go to sleep. My parents used to pull some jokes from time to time to me when I was a kid. Asshole-ish, if you ask me, but that type of joke was a one-time thing. After all of this time, I've come to think that maybe she actually saw something in our yard, and she just forced herself to keep composure to not scare me. That explains why she acted nervous after it. I know my mom, and the expression of fear she had on her face that night was genuine, and I've never seen her with that expression again. Actually, I've never seen anyone make that expression again. Anyone got stories from other than the United States? Strange to think that I've read more about skinwalkers in the United States than other spooks from countries or regions. Green tech stories from third world countries are more appealing to me since they aren't just ghosts and skinwalkers. Visiting the Philippines, stay at friend's place, says it's haunted. See figures out of the corner of my eyes during the stay. Dude's family has live-in maids, so I can't tell if it was a ghost or just them staying out of sight. Told me spooky customs like asking for permission when walking in the forest, or those banyan trees. Showed me this empty plot of land in this upscale developed neighborhood. That empty plot of land had these huge weird mounds. Told me little people, duende, live there and that they curse and hurt anyone trying to build on it. Was going to this island in the south that had maximum spooks, since he knew I was into that, but a storm canceled all ferries to it. Got invited to go back with him, late 20s now. I still wanted to do Spooks tour, but my vices may take over at this go-go bars. I'll try and collect stories or experience them myself. I got one more story that my friend told me that I remembered. It relates to other Filipino folklore or customs that I've read up on. Friend was a child. Lived in a house just outside a metropolitan area. The house next to theirs was vacant for a while. Someone recently bought it and started doing renovations. Renovations stopped for a while. Then, one day, a massive procession of religious people, praying along with priests in their garb, as well as a big-ass cross. The procession ended at the neighbor's house, with priests going inside. Priests and religious people occupied the house, alternating praying until nightfall. Prayers for like a week. But he didn't care because the streets were alive with little vendors, trying to sell to the people after they prayed each day. Kind of like a black party. After that week, priests left, but they also left behind this big-ass wood cross in the living room that you can see from the street. House stayed empty for a few more weeks, until owners started reluctantly living there. Some nights occupied, some nights empty. Friend asks parents what the deal was. Turns out, during the renovations, construction workers found a hidden room full of dark magic knickknacks, bottled herbs, bones, witch iconography, and, allegedly, a fetus in a jar. Construction owners told new owners about this and contacted a local priest and arranged an exorcism. According to the lore, some people would be witches or something and they would masquerade as normal people and turn into aswangs at night, and those jars contained familiars or potions to kill or manipulate. But from what my friend told me, there were no weird shit happening when he lived there, even before the exorcism. Then again, I didn't ask him if his family lived there all that time. Superstitions run strong in the provinces, away from metropolitan areas, that politicians still seek out a witch if they need an edge. About 17 or 18 with cutie girlfriend, shopping in town in this semi-mall. She goes into some woman's shop and I wait outside. See other group of boyfriends and husbands waiting outside too. Stand on other side of the entrance. Well-dressed fella comes over with lots of bags and does the old, "Women and shopping, eh? Haha." Ha, yeah. Don't want to make small talk with anyone, so just kinda keep giving him short answers so he'll get the hint. He does not. Just asks small things, like where I've been shopping, if it's my girlfriend or a sister I'm waiting for, what I have planned for the day, that sort of shit. Says he's shopping with his wife and he's on quote-unquote bag-carrying duty. Has like a dozen of those thick cardboard-type bags that you get from clothes shops. Huh, yeah, I know how that is. Breaks off mid-sentence and says his wife is coming out, so it's time to go. Yeah, man, have a good one. See you around, Anon. walks off really briskly by himself. As soon as he leaves, girlfriend turns up, asks who he was. Just some random? Yeah, but who? I don't know, I didn't get his name. Asks why I gave him mine. I didn't. Must have overheard girlfriend or something say it when she went into the shop. Start leaving semi-mall. Right at the entrance, there's about a dozen of those thick cardboard type bags that you get from the clothes shops. But no one is around guarding them to make sure they don't get stolen. Can't resist taking a peek. They were all empty. Never seen him again, although I didn't go back to that semi-mall for about 4 years. It was just weird. Some weird shit happened last night. Be me. Lie in bed trying to sleep, around 2 a.m. Randomly get exhausted even though I was fine moments before. Suddenly, start feeling that weird sensation like I was being pushed out of my body. Vision gets kinda blurry. At this point, I'm pretty sure I was getting possessed. Hear my cat going apeshit in the other room. Decide to check the time. Reach for phone. It's already lit up. Hadn't touched it in at least 20 minutes. Also, no notifications. What the fuck? Hear some more unexplained noises. Start praying, and eventually everything goes back to normal. Not sure if I'm developing schizophrenia, or some demonic force was getting up my ass. 2018. I had a dream in which a friend and I were walking on the avenue near a church. From inside the church came out a skinny creature, full of thorns on its body, with a totally inhuman face. It had sharp, pointed teeth, and it didn't have eyeballs. This creature walked in a strange way. Sometimes it walked normally. Other times, it just seemed to appear in another place a little further away from the last place it had been, almost as if it could teleport a few meters away. After he came out of the church, a man ran by and shouted that we had to run from there. We kept walking, unconcerned about it all. Then, suddenly, the creature decapitates this man, and his head flew off of his body while blood gushed everywhere, and his corpse fell lifeless on the ground. This thing was demonic, but for some reason, it doesn't attack us. I still don't understand it, and I don't remember this creature appearing in too many of my dreams. Be me. Summer of 97, living in the sticks. Me and my 2 cousins, we're also neighbors, are the only kids living in the area. We spend all of our time together. No internet. Nintendo is only allowed during winter. When it rains, we play music in the garage. Otherwise, we ride our bikes to a nearby bridge over a creek and spend the better part of the day there. There's an abandoned house next to the creek. Never see anyone there, which is good because we don't like strangers, and this is our spot. Then, one hot summer day, the creek was dry. Decided that we would take our bikes down there and ride the creek bed as far up as we could. Covered an appreciable distance when my rear tire gets pinched in between 2 rocks. Immediate deflation. Fuck my life. Now I will have to beg my dad for a new tube. Shit, I could be on foot for weeks. The 3 of us head back on foot because I want to save on my rim, and us 3 work as a unit. We leave no man behind. Finally, make it to the bridge. As we make our way back up from under the bridge, I see people near the old house. Looks like a clean-cut urbanite family, with a dad, a mom, and a couple of young kids, and they're all staring at us. Well, we're fucking hicks, and we don't like that type, so we stare back with our chins up in the air. The family starts walking towards us, but they're a good 100 feet away. Cousin number 1 mumbles, "The fuck do they want?" I notice, as they get closer, that they all have a severe, stern look, like they're angry at us. Something's not right with these guys. Not breaking eye contact, I say, "Come on, we're out of here." Cousins agree. As we climb on our bikes, I look at my flat tire for 1 second, then start pedaling behind cousin number 1. Cousin number 2 is behind me, and when I look back to see if he's following me, my hair just stood up on the back of my neck. Cousin number 2 was almost completely surrounded by those people. The quote-unquote dad had his arm stretched and ready to grab cousin number 2 by the shoulder. I yelled, "What the fuck? Move it!" He started pedaling like it was no big deal. I couldn't go very fast with my tire, so it took him 10 seconds to catch up with me. "What the fuck were you doing, man? That motherfucker was about to grab you by the neck." For real? Don't know how they did that, but fuck yeah, they got there fast. We never saw them again. I still wonder how they teleported so quickly to basically where we were just standing 5 seconds prior. They never spoke, didn't make a sound, nothing. Always that vaguely angry but mainly emotionless face. Shit still creeps me out after all of these years. Be me, 2002, 22-year-old homeless alcoholic, starting out life on hard mode. Live in the Southwest, fall in with Mexican day laborers, work hard, buy booze, sleep, repeat. Buddy says he's found a sweet deal of a job. It's a dig job. Ask him to hook me up. Says it's twice as much money as what we've been getting for the same kind of ditch digger shit that we've been doing. Meet with Jefe. Says keep your mouth shut and do what I say, and you get paid. 2-hour van ride into the desert. Volcanoes? What the fuck? I had no idea there were volcanoes on the Mexican border. Park in the middle of fucking nowhere and grab shovels and lanterns. Go in a weird, big-as-fuck cave. No graffiti, no trash. Like, it's totally untouched. No bats, no guano. Big-ass fucking stone circle in the middle. Jefe just says, "Don't touch that shit. Gatorade and shitty ham sandwiches for lunch." Bossman says, "Dig here." And then, dig there. We do this all day. Keeps checking shit on some little yellow box, like a voltmeter. Keeps finding little stone objects, shaped like D&D dice. Boss loses his shit when we find a metal one, instead of stone. Are we grave robbing? Fuck. Walking back to van. Wore the fuck out. Sun just dipping on the horizon. Hear whispering from the shadows. Buddy hears it too. Bossman says keep your eyes down and keep walking. Buzzing in my ears. Inside my head. Walk faster. Not sure this is worth it. Day 2. We're back at the cave. Big stone disc has been moved. And there's like a circular well underneath. Can't see the bottom. Bossman freaks out. "Everybody out. Job's over." Goodbye money. Everyone was super quiet on the ride back. Feds roll in next week. Asking everyone, "Have you seen this guy?" The guy being Bossman. Even being a stupid drunk at 19, I know you never talk to feds. Feel dirty. Nightmares every night. Can't stand the heat anymore. Can't stand the sun. Take everything I own and what little cash I have, and go cross country and beg my sister to let me stay with her. I am never going back to the desert. Hiking with friend. Trust him to lead the way because he's been here before. "Bro, we should totally go off trail and take the shortcut home." Well, next thing you know, it's pitch black and we can't find the trail again. Stumble around like 2 retards. See orange lights up ahead through the trees. Doesn't matter if it's a fire or a house or what. Light means civilization. Rush to it. It's a tavern that looks way, way dated. Can see through the windows and it's full of people. They also look way, way dated. They're obviously having a good time drinking and whatnot, but there's no noise coming from the place. This is bad juju. Friend insists that we're saved. We should keep walking. Tells me to get fucked because they'll be able to tell us how to get back on the trail. Argue that we must be close to somewhere if there's a tavern here with people in it. He wins the argument by telling me he'll go in and ask how to get to wherever is close by in that case. Opens the door. It's like one of those movies where everyone turns to look and the music stops. No one says anything. They only look at us, like they're waiting for us to enter. It feels warm and inviting. They feel warm and inviting. But at the same time, you have the bad juju in the back of your head. Like you can feel that you're being lulled into a false sense of security. Grab friend by shoulder before he goes in, and tell him that we're getting the fuck out of there. He must have gotten the feeling too because he finally agrees with me. close door, and start walking again. Only walked maybe 30 feet. Turn around for a last look of the place. There's only darkness and trees. Find a trail about an hour later. Never go hiking with him again. A dream I had recently. It comes in bits with some more detail than others. It was like a speed run of a few years. Be in Mississippi, chilling with a family, and see reports of weird square clouds here and there over the course of some months early in the dream. Nothing is happening. We discovered a new weather phenomenon. They don't even move when a hurricane hits the Gulf near Texas. It's a bad one. They kind of glow on the newsreels behind the other black clouds. Some weird cult people are on TV saying it's the apocalypse, and they're laughed at. A massive cyber attack happens in the States, and this weird quasi-October rebellion thing happens. News says it's China, and that it's like some Antifa group. Things kind of get back to normal, but they kill soldiers and take some big places in the States that I don't remember. Hear reports of another immigrant caravan like a month later. Oh fuck. It's the Mexican military with Russians interspersed. Border is overrun, and they push up towards New Mexico, I think. That bit I don't remember well. One day, I'm outside watching YouTube, and it just goes to buffering, and the service never really comes back. I was watching a video of a potential weapon of mass destruction being used around Texas. See jets and helicopters. Look at one of those weird square clouds above me, and something comes out of it. Hear my dead cousin behind me, and everything goes black. Wake up in a sweat. I know this isn't as glamorous as some of the other stuff posted here, but it spooked me good. Be me, 10 years old, visiting Grandpa's farm. Decide to walk along the fence with my two cousins, 7 and 8. See a goat outside the perimeter and decide to approach it. It looks a little bit off. About the same size as a regular billy goat, but it had no horns or ears. It's bug-eyed. Neck looked weird, like the neck was upside down, but the head was on straight. Goat stares at us with bulging eyes, and it's not bleeding. Breathes like a person. I know this sounds odd, but try to hear yourself breathing slowly. I can't think of another way to describe it. Keep looking at it, and noticing subtle details that make it look wrong. Gut feeling tells me to get the fuck out. Goat approaches me and pokes its head through the fence. Shiver runs down my spine. Tell my cousins to keep walking along the fence. Hear the goat walking a few feet behind us. Whisper to them to run back to Granddad's house at the count of 3 and to not look back. Look back while running away, and it's no longer there. Tell Granddad about it. He says he doesn't own a goat matching my very specific description of it. Grandma burns so much incense, the house was practically hotboxed. Hangs cross on front door. Never see the goat again. Move into the city at 18. Never been outside the suburbs before. Confused by public transport. Reading the sign at a train station. Obviously lost. A homeless man approaches me and asks if I need help. Yes. I was very sheltered at this point. Honestly, I don't think I'd ever seen a homeless person before. Homeless man asks where I need to go. I tell him. He explains how to get there. Tells me which bus to take, explains the train system, and etc. Genuinely very helpful. I thank him, and figure I should repay him somehow. Ask him if he needs anything. Homeless man shakes his head, then looks around quickly, motions me over, and whispers if I want to see something. Okay. He cups his hands and asks me to look inside. I oblige. What the fuck? Inside of his hands, I see a kaleidoscope effect. Kind of like there are mirrors moving, making it look like his palms are splitting apart continuously. I look at the homeless man and ask how he did that. He looks very sad and says he doesn't know. Bus arrives. So long. As bus pulls away, I see the homeless man watching me. He's crying. Nervously look away, and I never see him again. Still wonder, to this day, what the fuck happened? Be me. Mother and grandmother breed Persian cats to sell. We keep some, but sell most. not all of them survive. One litter is born with a black cat in it. Black cat dies very early. Years go by. The cats start to age. Every time one of them is going to die, we see a black cat 3 days before. Mother saw a black cat running into dining room, followed it in. There's nothing there. 3 days later, a cat dies. I was 10 when I saw it. Was fussing with a cat on grandmother's dining room floor. Looked up at dining table and saw a black cat washing itself on a basket. Turn away, get up to fuss it, and it's gone. Thought it was one of her other cats. She had a lot. Go looking for the cat that I thought it was. It was asleep at the other end of the house. Get phone call from Mom that one of the cats is missing at home. We find it. She was hiding to die. Had to take her to the vets where she was put down. The cat that I thought it was at my grandmother's house was her mother. And the worst yet, cousin is 5 years old. Heard giggling upstairs, playing alone. Aunt goes upstairs to check on her. Who were you talking to? Cousin says that she was playing with a black cat, and that it was their cat's brother. 3 days later, their cat is hit by a car. I'm glad we don't have those cats anymore. What is the most unexplainable/paranormal experience you've ever had, X? I once got drunk in a haunted basement, an old neighborhood in Denver that was built over an old cemetery. We were remodeling the basement. I went down taunting and talking shit. My girlfriend found me sitting cross-legged, eating raw steak, babbling incoherently. I wasn't blackout drunk or anything like that. I just had a few beers and got cocky. The following day, I wasn't much better off, still confused and babbling. She, being witchy, took me over to her witch shop, told them what happened, and they suggested a blend of herbs and spices used for cleansing evil entities. I had to boil it and chant positive energy into it while it boiled, then pour it into a warm bath and soak until I felt better. I was in the bath for like 10 minutes when my breath started to go. Then my hands and feet cramped up. I couldn't breathe or talk. I was shouting for my girlfriend who was outside gardening, but I couldn't shout. I could only just mumble what should have been screams. My body goes completely numb, and I'm just stuck in the tub. My girlfriend comes in and helps me out of the tub, and then gets me into bed where I slept for pretty much 2 days. No passing, no eating, just straight sleep. When I woke up, I was still jacked up and had a hard time thinking or talking for a few days longer. I had the worst horseshit luck for a month. Everything was going wrong. I knew a family friend who was a shaman/a life coach. She did a reading with crystals and sage and shit. She freaked out when I started thrashing around and verbally started attacking her in some weird dialect that she didn't know, but she guessed that it was Middle Eastern sounding. She actually had to quit because she was freaked out. It took her weeks to contact us. She brought up some research and that I had multiple angry attachments. She gave me this weird water from Wyoming, some spring that she blessed, and immediately I was fine. Nothing else happened. Totally strange couple of months with no explanation. I have brown eyes, but my family claims that they were black for that whole time frame. I don't know what happened. You don't know what happened? How the fuck do you not know what happened? I have time. I'll write it out. Be me, 10 years old. At mobile home camp for a week. Go out on bike. Meet some other kids. Kids asks to ride my bike. Don't know him, but I don't want to be rude. Say I can't let him because it was so expensive. He asks how much. 10-year-old me goes, like $100. Him and the other kids laugh. $100? That's not expensive. Kids laugh and ride off. I feel like a moron. That night, wish that I could go back in time and make friends with those kids. Wake up the next day. Mom is unpacking all the same shit that she just unpacked yesterday. In my head, I'm able to predict things that will happen. Holy fuck, my wish came true, that JPEG. Go find the kids, knowing where they'll be. Kid asks if he can ride my bike. I say, yes. Join his friends group. There was like 10 of us, and we had the time of our lives in that week. And then we all left camp and went our separate ways. Never tried it again. Just thankful that I got to go back once. 11 years old. House burns down to a chimney fire. That same night, my mom was supremely drunk. Randomly had a weird feeling and insisted on coming home. As I was browsing nude fakes of Miley Cyrus on my PSP, my mom drunkenly stumbles around the house trying to find the source of a weird smell in our house. She demands that we leave and stay the night at her fiance's house. Next morning, my brother's friend reports that our house is literally ruins. Our entire small town community bands together, gets us a new home, and fills it with furniture. House is creepy. Me and siblings swap stories on how the basement is haunted. Things are normal for a few months, but the creepiness doesn't fade. One day, randomly decide to read the Bible. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob. Suddenly, as clear as fucking day, inches from my ear, I hear a whisper. Hey. Shocked. Motionless for minutes. Respond. Hey. Nothing. A few weeks later, in the shower, sitting on the floor of the shower, knees to my chest, head down, get an overwhelming feeling that the shower is about to get really hot. Ghosts aren't real, shut the fuck up. Suddenly, out of nowhere, shower gets scorchingly hot. Scramble to get out. Never finish shower. And I opt for baths occasionally. Be me, about 23 years old. Lots of weird stuff happened to my house before. TVs turning on their own, glasses suddenly breaking, shadow people, and etc. Have a lot of old cell phones stored inside of a box. 4 a.m. I hear an alarm. Must be someone else's alarm. Nothing happens. No one wakes up. I wake up and follow the sound. It came from that box. I open it, and I see an old cell phone. Like the ones that you slide it to the side and had a full keyboard. Screen was totally glitched. Like a lot of gray bars. What the fuck, that JPEG? I take out its battery and it turns off. Then I try to turn it back on. No luck. Turn back to see my cat, standing there, watching. Couldn't sleep that night. Cat kept acting weird. Next morning, sister tells me that specific cell phone never worked. I don't know. Another weird thing to add to the list, I guess. I used to suffer from sleep paralysis a lot. I think I used to be a shitty person, and I attracted demons. I'm 33 now, and it doesn't happen much anymore. Eventually they became routine, but, for example, I laid down in a bed in a hotel that I was sharing with a workmate, and as I helplessly stared at the hallway corner, a demon that looked like her kept slowly peering around the corner. Another time, oddly enough, also sharing a hotel with a bunch of dudes, I lay down and was instantly paralyzed, and my vision just became an intense, red psychedelic mandala. I couldn't move, and it was pretty terrifying, to be honest. My profound experience happened this year, though. I was going through a weird series of nightmares that I kept waking up from, ending in me laying in bed next to my wife, in sleep paralysis, and I willed myself out of my body. I decided to go check out the apartment upstairs, as I had never been there, and my neighbors were there as demons on the couch, crackling about something. I didn't like the scene, and I thought, I'm gonna go visit my higher self. So I thought this, and ended up in a black void, with a massive female face in front of me. I kind of asked her for advice, and when she opened her eyes, she turned into a blue disc with 2 cartoonish eyes and runes all over. It was emitting a sound like radio static, but I could make out the words, unending stream of unadulterated praise to the Creator, as it just stared at me. Then, I snapped back to my body. As far as what others have suggested to me when I shared this, apparently what I've seen was a biblically accurate angel.